Welcome back to the e-learning platform. Comparative Law in the Faculty of Law of the University of Teramo. We keep discussing the law and its origins, its sources and legal formats through the water system metaphor. Let me ask Gustavo to show us the first picture of this PIL lecture. You see that? Taps, water taps. Those are two typical Victorian taps of the type you very often find around Britain. People wonder why in Britain they don't use taps of the second type. Gustavo now will show us the second picture, which is representing a modern water mixer, which is used more or less everywhere around Europe, but not so often and not so widespread in Britain, because for traditional reasons probably the Britons like separate taps, Victorian style. We can use those two taps to continue with the water metaphor about the law. One of the taps is normally connected to the mains, to the official line from the water system, the public, the city water system, while the other tap is normally connected to a local household water system, which is normally the hot water, through a boiler or through another device to warm the water up. We can imagine that we have these two taps. One is the official one, another one is the optional one that permits to the people in the house to have a second source of water with different characteristics. It can be local water, external water, foreign water. Let's imagine it comes in the basin through the second tap. It's of course possible to mix them, and it's of course possible to keep them separate. At some point you may wish to mix the water from the two sources for your personal use at home, and you may invent something like the makeshift solution described in picture number 3. Now Gustavo will show us picture number 3, like this one. So you can produce your own mixing tap this way. It's a makeshift solution that permits to use a mixed system of rules in the household. It takes time to develop the idea that this is indeed an interesting feature for a water system, and the ability to produce mixed water at some point might be recognized by the professional community in the jurisdiction. So after some time you might find a plumber helping you to obtain mixed water and developing something like what is shown in picture number 4, which is this way. You have something a bit more professional bringing you the desired solution, mixed water. After some time, the entire environment, including those producing water systems, may realize that this is a good option, everybody wants to have it at home, and so solutions like the one in picture number 5 could be made available to everyone. What is interesting in this picture is that it still shows that in the origin it was two separate taps. So it's a Victorian style, present times British water mixer, very different from the water mixer we saw in picture number 2, which was more of a European type. In this picture we still see that in the origin the situation was different. Why this? Yes, this is picture number 2, and picture number 5 is it's maintaining the identity of the system, showing that it used to be different. It's now similar to European mixer taps because there is some utility in mixing water, but the identity of the system has been preserved. Why this taps metaphor again? Because I want to show you now that taps can describe how law changes with respect to specific issues. We can imagine, as an example, that the water is a metaphor for the availability of guarantees on first demand in a jurisdiction. You know what is a first demand guarantee? Those guarantees are in principle prohibited by the Italian Civil Code based on the doctrine that collateral accessory obligations are only valid if the fundamental obligation of the main debtor stands. So if the main obligation is not valid, for whatever the reason, the guarantee is not valid either. First demand guarantees are allowed in the German legal system on the doctrine that is an abstract obligation that can stand on its own strength and validity. Societal needs in Italy and Germany are similar. Business people need to have access to guarantees of that kind, first demand guarantees. They make business more secure, more productive for everyone. At the same time, there is a need to limit frauds, which can be associated to the use of first demand guarantees, because somebody may ask payment from both the debtor and the guarantor. So the final solution in both legal systems is that you may actually have guarantees on first demand, but you may not abuse them. In Italy, the solution has been reached by opening the tap of guarantees of first demand, allowing some German water to get mixed in the system. So the Italian principle still stands, but if you're a business person or entity, you may have access to that kind of guarantees which are specifically designed for business transactions. In Germany, the principle is that those guarantees are available, but a principle has been introduced that those may not be abused for illegal or unfair objectives. There is even an international covenant limiting abuse of first demand guarantees. So clearly two different societies with originally different rules in the official legal sources arrived to similar results, not by changing the law. So the source still gives the same word, but the legal formants in the two jurisdictions intervened, interacting with the official source to produce a different result. In Italy, first demand guarantees have been advocated by the business community, by legal scholars then, and eventually have been accepted by case law. So legal formants intervened to radically change the rule which is officially written in the source of the Civil Code. My submission here is that similar societies with similar societal needs will produce eventually similar operational rules, similar law in action. And this irrespective of what the official sources say, because the legal formants operating in the jurisdiction will intervene, interact with the sources, and produce the desired final result. And to go back to the picture that we see now there, clearly the result will be similar, but it's also true that it will still be possible to identify how the legal system got there, which was the origin, and how the original structure has been changed to reach the final result. So it will still be possible to identify which part of the solution comes from the law and which part of the solution comes from the interaction of the law with legal formants. So to sum it up, change occur in the law, but not necessarily through changes of the legal sources. Legal formats intervene and produce change according to the needs of society. Similar societies, irrespective of the original sources in the official list of sources, produce ultimately similar end rules, and this thanks to the presence, courtesy of legal formats that intervene to make the law more appropriate, more suitable for the needs of a relevant society. Thank you very much and see you soon. Ciao.